All right, welcome everybody to the Utah Stories pre-show. So today was supposed to be the big day. We were going to have Michelle Flynn come on from the Road Home and talk all about the Housing First initiative. And if you're not familiar with Housing First, what it is, it's the idea that people who are addicts or people who have mental issues, who have psychological problems, it's better to put them in housing first and allow them to work on their problems. And I absolutely love this idea in theory. I think it makes a lot of sense in theory. And I could say that it even was a success in Salt Lake City for quite a long time, but it has not been a success lately. And sadly, Michelle Flynn is not going to be coming on the program today. But very happily, we do have a different guest on the program, and that's Samuel Grenny from the Other Side Village. He is spearheading the whole idea of building tiny homes for the homeless. It's a concept that's being built down in West Valley. This should have broken ground about a year ago. The idea was brought up in March of 2021. The mayor was on board with it. It seemed like it was all a go, and it's been stalled for about a year. So Samuel Grenny is going to be talking about providing homes for the homeless and the Other Side Village. That's all coming up very soon, and we're hoping to have people from either Instagram or from our YouTube channel join us for this special program, because we want to talk about how do we best get these 6,000 to 7,000 unsheltered people into housing. A lot of them were priced out of the housing market here in Salt Lake City. A lot of them were kicked out because they couldn't afford the rate hikes and rent hikes by their landlords. I've talked to these people on the street. So how do we get them back into housing? That's the big question we're going to be asking on today's program, and we're going to be talking about the Road Home and the permanent supportive housing projects they do, which ones are successful, which ones are failures. We're going to be talking to some people, some kids who were, I call them kids, I mean kids in their 20s, who were at Pioneer Park yesterday about the current housing shortage and what they feel the city needs to provide for them to help them get off the streets. I think it's going to be a really awesome program, and I'm especially grateful for Samuel coming on such short notice, because I've been trying so hard to get Michelle to come, and she just would not reconsider that her idea that she just doesn't want to come on the program. And sadly, we ask tough questions, we report the truth, and the truth is housing first in terms of the Magnolia project. If you've heard about that, the kind of luxury apartments downtown, in the middle of downtown, they gave free to the homeless. Those have not been successful. There's an inside source who provided us information telling us that there's actually prostitution going on there on a daily basis and drug trafficking in public housing facilities. And the source we have is 100% legit. That story upset quite a few people. Obviously, anytime you have public housing or free housing and you find out it's a failure and that prostitution and drug trafficking is happening in it, it's not something the mainstream media is reporting on at all, but that's why we do what we do. We're independent. We're happy to go in and report on things that the other media outlets are not reporting on. And we also took some flack for reporting on the murders among the homeless and the bodies being dumped into the Jordan River that are going unreported, both by the media and the police. These come from, so far, not substantiated rumors by police, by the homeless camps we visited, but it's two big homeless camps that I visited, where both camps of over 8 people were saying, yes, indeed, we are finding that working girls or prostitutes are getting murdered, and these girls are coming into the camps and they're disappearing, and then they see they hear reports and they see body bags being filled. And then we've contacted the police back in January. We never got a call back from the police. We got all this runaround, and we've been trying to cover this story since January, and we finally broke the story right at the beginning of August. And we immediately got a lot of both praise that that we're covering this and nobody else will, but we were also getting a lot of flack for it. I've been going back and forth with a guy from KUTV News who reports on crime, and he can't believe we would report on this. But when you have a homeless community and a homeless population telling you something is happening and they are eyewitnesses to this happening, why is their voice less legitimate or should be delegitimized just because of their housing situation? That's kind of what I don't understand. Why should we not be reporting on the voices of the local homeless population? And so I went back and forth with this guy from KUTV News and the crime reporter there. He thinks we should not be reporting on this. We should wait for the police to come back to us with a grandma request. And if you're not clear with what that is, we had to file a Freedom of Information Act request by the police department in order to get any records related to how many bodies they pulled out of the Jordan River, because apparently they can't tell us that. They can't just say, we have this many bodies, we pulled out dead bodies, possible homicide victims. But what we do know is that there's over 450 cold case files currently sitting in a police database that are not released to the public. And the Senate actually passed through the state legislature the mandate that the Salt Lake City police release these cold case files to the public, to the media. They are slowly doing the oldest files first, and hopefully soon they'll get to the newer files of the more recent victims of homicide. But we're just supposed to wait and hope that they provide that with our grandma requests. And I tend to be a little bit more impatient, I guess, than other reporters, and I'm just telling you that these are rumors being out there from the homeless community that the police will neither confirm nor deny, and they're giving us probably a long delay before we'll get any answers on that. So anyway, with that, it's 3:30 right now. We plan to start the show on our YouTube channel right around 4 o'clock, so I hope you'll join us over there. Thank you all who have been watching with us on Instagram. And thanks for tuning in and being such a big part of Utah Stories. You've really helped us keep our momentum in providing the voice of